We're back, baby. It's the Daily Stripe, Tuesday, March 8th, 2023 in the office. Yesterday, we covered Derek Carr going to the Saints. Eugenio Smith, returning to the Water Falcons.
I'm happy for him.
Yeah, me too.
Look, they played very well last year, surprisingly really well.
Yeah.
And he won Comeback Player of the Year, as he should have. Mm-hmm. And he deserved that contract.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that he's not going to be, your top 3, top 5 quarterback like Burrow, Mahomes, Herbert, but he's a guy who can keep you, in games and not lose you games.
And I believe the way the contract is structured, half the money comes in year one.
Sure.
So he gets half that money, and then the rest is dissipated.
Yeah. So if he sucks, then it's not a huge hit the next couple of years.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's a really good move. It's similar to cross-sported. It's not as grand of a deal, but the Corey Seager deal that we discussed last year when he signed, it's very front heavy compared to the deals we've seen in the back, which are back heavy.
Right.
I'm really into it. I'm curious to see if Seattle takes a quarterback at the 5 spot. Now I think it's less likely.
No,
and then probably
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Build the defense.
Probably take the best defensive player available. Do they take a flyer in Jalen Carter? Or does he drop? Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech could really be in the mix there. I'm curious to see what they do, but I think it's definitely an exciting time in Seattle, especially the Cardinals on the down. I'm not fully convinced. Maybe the Rams kind of buoy back up to 500. But the way that their team is built and the lack of draft capital they have, they might be in a position where they have to trade Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, it's not sustainable for the future.
No.
Not just trade Jalen Ramsey, but, if it doesn't work out this year, maybe trade Cooper Kupp next year.
Yeah, he might become available as well. Would you give a first for Jalen Ramsey?
No. Second.
Really? That's pretty emphatic. Hard no.
He's good, but to me, he has not been the top cornerback in the league for the past 2 or 3 seasons.
Okay, so would you give a second and a fourth?
Sure.
Okay, so if you're Detroit, second and a fourth for Jalen Ramsey.
I don't know, because I think Detroit, they just want to continue to build with the draft capital. I feel like you can get a good player in the second round and just build off that team.
Okay, so off the cuff, obviously we're not looking at the cap right now, and that's always in effect. But who are the top 3 teams you think could trade for Jalen Ramsey?
Man, it's hard to tell because I don't really know the numbers.
Yeah, sure.
That's really
just
tough.
Numbers aside.
Maybe the Giants.
Okay. I like that pick. They had some defensive back struggles. Yeah.
Yep. Maybe the Vikings.
Okay. Another good pick. These are strong picks.
And gotta take an AFC team here.
Yeah.
I feel like they do this all the time, but the Bills, they always go out and make a trade for a guy to add that extra X factor.
Yeah.
And doesn't ever work out. So just recency bias, the Bills.
Okay. Bills, maybe the Pats.
Patriots. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Bill really does. Speaking of Bills, I don't think your Bill really does that often. He doesn't really make a big splash.
He's only made 2 splashy moves.
He does the opposite.
Yeah, he takes flyers on guys. He's made 2 splashy moves with Revis, won him a title, Gilmore. So maybe he kind of reverts back to that model, but he does typically go with, between Jones, J.C. Jackson, guys that we can get later in the draft, or just even undrafted guys that he could plug and play there.
Yeah.
Because the system just works out for corners. Okay, I like the Vikings pick. I like the Giants pick. Another guy that's on the trade block. A, does he get moved? And B, what are some places for King Henry?
Derrick Henry. Well, look, at the end of the day, I understand why Tennessee's doing this. Mm-hmm. It's trading in your car that you love so much that has 100,000 miles on it, right? At some point it's going to break down. You know what I mean? Maybe even more than 100,000 miles. He's been in this league for a long time now, and he's battled through injury on the lower body, which you don't want to see that if you're a running back. And he's a guy who's had a lot of carries. Tennessee has literally run him to the ground. He's a guy who gets 25, 30 carries a game. So I understand why they're doing it. How much would I give up if I'm another team? Maybe a second or third round, maybe second and third. I don't know. I don't think I'd give a first round for him.
No. I wouldn't give a first round pick for Derrick Henry.
Destinations, you got to look at the Chargers. I think you said it the other day, or not the other day, last month, that he'd be a great table setter, right? Up next to Austin Eckler. there's a great yin and yang there. Austin's like the small scat back, and Derrick Henry can be the big bruiser. Obviously, you want to see who they try to go out and draft first, because if Bijan's available, I'd rather have Bijan. Let's see who else. I think the Ravens would be a good fit. I think they're a team that, if they end up moving away from Lamar, then they got to kind of get the run game sparked somehow. And I think that's
Lamar for Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry.
Yeah. I mean, that's, yeah. I think Tampa Bay, they just got rid of Leonard Fournette. So
yeah.
I know Rashad White's technically their guy right now, but he's like a 4th round running back.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah. I like those picks. I think the Chargers would be interesting with Derrick Henry.
Right.
Obviously, a lot of teams have to manipulate the cap a lot.
That's the biggest issue is cap. Like the Chargers were a team that were talked about cutting Keenan Allen, and Tom Telesco, the GM, said he's not going to do it. He said, Keenan Allen's been a legend to this culture and to this team, and look, you want to get at a point where you're paying guys this much money because they're that good. He deserves that money because he's that good. And you don't want to move in the opposite direction when you have a guy like Justin Herbert, who is on a cheap contract right now as it stands. Obviously, they're going to try to negotiate that contract and extend him. But why would you take a risk on a guy in the draft that's unproven when you have Keenan Allen right there?
You don't want to pull a Nomar situation either with the Red Sox, where he was there this whole time, and the year they won, like, what if the Chargers win this year and you trade Keenan Allen, like a guy that's been there for so long? I mean,
that would suck.
That would be heartbreaking. All right, last but not least, talks in motion, at least. I won't say heating up. Packers, Jets. Aaron Rodgers is the guy on the move. Gino's obviously with the Water Falcons. Derek Carr made his move going to the Saints. Rodgers and Lamar Jackson, the two big dominoes to follow. We're all anticipating if Lamar Jackson does leave Baltimore, will probably be for the NFC.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers could jump ship from the NFC North to the AFC East. A, do you think it happens? And B, what do you give up?
I would put it at like 50-50 right now.
Okay.
Because I think Green Bay is going to try to ask for a lot. Mm-hmm. What would I give up? Zach Wilson. He's the throw-in.
Okay, peanuts.
Maybe a 1st and a 2nd.
Okay. A 1 and a 2?
I don't think maybe a 1 and a 2 or 1 and a 3. I don't know if I'm giving up 2 first rounds, because how long is he going to be on your team?
Yeah, I can't give up 2 first rounds for him. Too much.
No. Yeah. And the Jets this year would be a good time to do it because they're picking in the back half of the draft. So
13, like not in the top 10.
They're 13?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought they were way deeper than that.
No, they're I mean, some teams like were all like.
This is probably like one of the deepest picks they've had in recent years.
That is true. So they have the 13th pick and a 3rd round pick to the Packers for Aaron Rodgers is pretty fair.
I think so.
And you throw in
the
magic beans as well.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson. The MILF Hunter heads to Wisconsin. At least there'd be a nice spinoff show on FX for that.
You think FX would pick that up?
Yeah. FX, maybe Stars,
Cinemax After Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, that would talk about a real heel turn. BYU Star goes to Skinemax as a MILF Hunter. I mean, that would be a wild turn of events for a BYU quarterback.
Bang Bros.
Zach Wilson might be a free agent soon. Hit him up.
Yeah.
Well, that's that. Daily Stripe.
That is that.
Good to see you guys. We'll see you guys next time.